Well, Studio 10, this afternoon we are taking you on a journey that takes place in the heart of the Scottish Highlands, and here to guide us through a summer of magic and mystery is the author of this brand new novella, The Hedgehog of Fairy Glen. We've got Kayleigh Slone. How are you this afternoon?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic, but we literally have to ask the author. This is not a novel, but a novella. Tell us, what exactly is that?
A novella is basically a mini version of a novel. So novellas are just under a certain word count.
Okay.
So I decided to choose a novella because sometimes when you get a book and it's like really big, it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
Sometimes something really short and sweet is honestly like the best option. So I went with something that both young readers and people who are busy, who are older readers, can also have some time like in their evenings to read and really enjoy a story.
Okay, and especially for those, like we said, who have commitment issues, it's good that you said it's short, it's sweet, but you still got that mystery, you still have that magic. So speaking of, tell us a little bit about the story that we'll embark on once we open our hands to this book.
Absolutely. So the story takes place in the Scottish Highlands in a little town called Eigg, and our main character is Ailsa, and so she spends her summer in the Scottish Highlands with her grandparents. Having gone through a very recent loss, she really struggling and diving deep into reading because that's her passion. But she notices a peculiar hedgehog in the garden, and so one day she decides to follow the hedgehog, and it leads her to this magical place called the Fairy Glen.
Oh, wow.
And this place is actually a real spot in Scotland, in the town of Eigg, and it looks otherworldly, like from a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But in this world, she meets a group of talking animals and some other magical beings, and so she has a summer of fun and getting to know these animals, but something is not quite right in the Scottish Highlands. There's an evil stalking the area, and so she has to help her friends find out what it is and to help them bring peace to the Scottish Highlands.
Kayleigh, I love that part, especially it feels really nostalgic because first I can actually picture a lot of what it is that you're saying as you're telling us all about it, and especially I love that you mentioned that Ailsa suffers a loss. There's a lot of different parts, even though these are fictional characters, there's a lot of different parts of this that already sound real to us to begin with. Now tell me a little bit more about the characters that Ailsa will meet in the story.
Of course, they're so fun. As a young girl, like I always wanted to talk to animals. I think everybody in some way or another always wants to talk to animals. The characters in the story, some of them are actually based on people or animals in my personal life.
Okay.
So that really gave them life in some way, where I really got to base the personality of these characters on these beings that I knew throughout my life. So the main character, the hedgehog, her name is Xena, and Xena is based on my actual hedgehog that I had for 7 years. And she is pretty sassy. And you have different animals like a Highland cow, you have a sheep. You can see in here too, I have a picture of the Highland cow, and then Ailsa's grandfather, Grandpa Bell, who is one of my favorite characters. Both of these characters are two of my personal favorites.
Okay, I love that. Now, a lot of this story was actually based on a trip that you took to the UK. Tell us about that journey and where this book kind of came from.
My fiance and I, we are musicians full time, but that allows us to travel during our non-busy season. So we took a trip to the UK. It was our first backpacking trip. And one of my favorite places we went was Scotland, and I just fell in love with the charm. And I really, really wanted to base a story somewhere I have traveled personally. And even though I didn't go to the town of Eigg, I did go to Scotland, but one day I will go to Eigg. But I just wanted to write about a place that I felt there was just pure magic in.
That is beautiful. Okay, now Scotland is on my list of places to go.
You have to go.
Yeah, like you said, if you feel the magic there. Now, you've also brought a few watercolor paintings that play a role in this book. Can we talk about this one that you have right here?
Of course. So this picture is of characters in the book. We have our main character, Ailsa, and this is her mother, Iona. And this is the art for the first chapter where they arrive at Rowan Cottage, where most of the story also takes place. This is the original watercolor painting that I did, and so it ended up being one of the first illustrations in the book.
Oh my goodness, so you are a painter, plus a writer, plus a musician. Talk about a triple threat. Can I also say you're a fashionista? Because
thank
just
you.
take a look. You actually have the book printed on your earrings.
I do.
I didn't even notice that at first. Take a look at that. That is amazing.
Yeah, these are my favorites. My fiance's mom got them for me for Christmas. I had to wear them today.
And even though this all takes place in a fairyland, what are some of those real life lessons you think we can all go home with?
Ailsa really goes through this personal growth that I personally, went through in some ways or another. So she is a character basically based off of of me and some lessons that I've learned personally. She really is struggling with grief. She's struggling with making friendships and connecting with family. And so through this, as she's starting to grow, her curiosity brings her to different places, and so she learns these lessons, and grief plays a big role in it. We've all experienced grief in some way or another, so it really talks about how you can not just overcome it, but how can you live with it and grow close relationships with people around you who love you.
Well, Kayleigh, thank you so much for joining us here today. And if our viewers do want to dive into the Hedgehog of Fairy Glen, tell us where they can find the book.
You can purchase my book online at my website. It is KayleighSlone.com. And you can get a personal signed copy from me. I will write you a nice little message, and I can write your personal name. It is also available at Bestsellers in Mason, where I had my book release. And it is also available on Amazon.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today and spreading that magic here on Studio 10. We've got Kayleigh's information listed below, but thank you for letting us ask the author today.
Thank you so much for having me.